Hi, Jeff. I think it's funny when people accuse me of being angry, and I'm angry. And I guess, I probably should come clean. I'm not really an angry person, Jeff. I'm actually a fairly laid back guy. Occasionally, when there are topics that I feel passionate about, I tend to get passionate. But there's a difference between passion and intensity and anger. And it is possible that once or twice in my videos I have lashed out at you in anger. I'm not denying that. Because every once in a while your videos hit me the wrong way. Like, not the wrong way, like, the joke wasn't funny. It's in the wrong way in the sense that, wow, this guy is just offensive on so many levels. And then I have to figure out a way to articulate that. But it is my job, if I'm going to post videos, it is my job to articulate in a way that makes sense. And I'm sorry that my videos are torture for you. I don't have all the pretty stuff at the beginning like you do. You swimming into the camera or whatever shit you have going now. But you're warned. This is as technical as it gets. So torture is a choice. That's very interesting. Whose choice? That might be a question that's worth considering. Now, we sort of assume, we make these basic assumptions about the world based on perspective. Your perspective, and a lot of people's perspective, is that the United States, that we're the good guys. And we think we're the good guys because all of the movies that we watched growing up have told us that we're the good guys. I grew up watching, Rambo, and I used to love Chuck Norris's missing in action flicks. Actually, I prefer some of it. Actually, I was a big fan of Lone Wolf McQuade. Do you remember that one? It wouldn't surprise me if you actually remember that movie. I saw it last week on a Spanish station. It's kind of weird to watch him talking Spanish. Anyway, and I used to watch those kind of movies. I used to love John Wayne movies as a kid. I grew up in a house where my mom was a huge John Wayne fan, and so you get this sort of sense that we, the United States of America, that we're the good guys. And that's how we determine who is good and who is evil. We assume that anybody who is attacking us is evil because we're good. What if that is an incorrect assumption? I'm not denying that there are people in the world who want to do us harm. I'm not denying that we might have a right to defend ourselves. I do think, however, that it's important that if we are going to say that we're the good guys, that we should behave like good guys, good people. And I think we also need to consider the fact that a good part of what's happened to us over the past 10 years, foreign policy-wise, going back to the USS Cole, has been in response to American foreign policy. I'm not saying that makes their response right. I'm saying that there is, you can trace it back. And if you're looking for reasons why people in the Middle East might hate us, there's a really good movie, and I usually don't encourage people to see Hollywood flicks of this caliber, of this kind, because it's kind of cheesy too, and it's got Tom Hanks and Julia Roberts, and I don't like Julia Roberts that much. But Charlie Wilson's War. If you haven't seen it, Jeff, you really need to see it because it's all about our involvement in Afghanistan during the Cold War and the CIA training freedom fighters in Afghanistan to kick out the Russians, the Soviets, because our foreign policy was the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Part of that foreign policy, and I know this is getting boring, Jeff, because I'm not, doing any twinkly, shiny stuff, so I'll do that, All right, get your attention. Another reason why people might not like us is that there was a time when Saddam Hussein, that guy that we went to Iraq to get, and then we found him, and then we hung him, but we're still there. Although the weapons of mass destruction that we thought were there weren't there. One of the reasons we might have thought that we could get away with assuming that there were WMDs is because we gave him WMDs to use against Iran, who was an ally of the Soviet Union. You following me? I'm not talking about right and wrong here. I'm talking about cause and effect. The problem with applying a right and wrong, a good and evil to that is that it's all about perspective. And of course, we assume that our perspective is correct because it's us. And we don't want to think that we are party to things that are wrong because that's us. We all like to think we're the good guy, Jeff, and I just don't think that we can do that in the modern world, in this contemporary world. And as someone who claims to have some kind of spiritual understanding, I expect more from you than a rubber stamp on inhumane actions. And because the high road should count, Jeff. And I realize, and you can say that's being naive. That's not being naive. If you're going to have a position, then you need to follow that position. We cannot call ourselves good guys if we don't behave like good guys. We cannot call ourselves good guys when bad things are done in our name. And you talk about, torture so that we can get information to protect people in the United States. Quite frankly, I just don't buy the argument. They want to torture people, but yet they're not going to secure the border. You see what I'm saying? There are things that could be done that they're not doing. They haven't secured the seaports, and they haven't done anything. They haven't done squat about the border, at least here in Arizona. They're building the fence for all the good that'll do. They're not paying attention to the most fundamental things, because I would submit to you, Jeff, that it's easier to waterboard somebody. It's easier to sexually humiliate someone than it is to actually create infrastructure that will make us safer. And it's easier to do those things than to have a foreign policy that will not make us a target. I hope this hasn't been too boring. I realize that some of that policy stuff and that history shit, that probably got a little dry for you. But check it out. The connections are there. And think about perspective, Jeff. You seem like a nice guy. I'm trying not to be so angry. I mean, I hope you appreciate that. Because I'm really not an angry guy. I think sometimes, well, anyway. So this is my response. It's a little off the fly. I probably should have planned it better, but I felt like responding to you immediately. Thanks for mentioning me. I kind of feel we're making progress, buddy. All right, so that's all I got.